what is going on between Root and Finch, as far as, I love the fact that you guys started off with such an adversarial place, and now you're like besties. At least I think from Root's perspective. I don't know if it's from Finch's perspective.
He keeps being like, can I have some space? Like, what? Let's play. That's been just such a joy, that relationship. It's, as an actor, getting to do scenes with Michael is like, I don't think it gets better than that. Every person I meet in the world is like, you get to act with Michael Emerson. So I'm like, I know, I'm so lucky. So yeah, it's been fun to see. It's been a roller coaster. We get close together, and then something happens that pulls us apart. And I feel like at the end of it all, we ended together. But now we have to rebuild this machine, and what is that going to mean? Because I don't think we necessarily have the same opinion about what that should be. So I think there will be some good, juicy scenes, and it'll be fun.
So the machine has been kind of Root's caretaker in a certain way, and now Root is holding the machine in a box. So is Root going to kind of show a more caretaking role, do you think?
I feel like I'm making this up because we haven't started shooting yet, and I don't know what they're writing. But it seems like, for me, I feel like she's like has to be the machine's voice. Like, if she's always spoken through the machine spoken through her, and now she feels like the machine can't talk, so she has to speak up for what the machine needs. Something like that.
No, absolutely. I think your character's always been the biggest advocate, for the machine, and I think that is what's so interesting about this year, that you are now getting to take part in actually reconstituting it and growing it with Finch, and those debates that you guys are going to have. I mean, this is war, and so you do wonder, how far will each of you go? And we'll see.
Denise, you've written some amazing episodes, but how is it that you always end up with the episodes where everyone dies?
You know what?
How have you gotten the angel of death?
Yeah, I'm not sure how this has happened. I'm not sure how. I don't know.
They call her the darkness or something.
Some of the writers in the writers' room
apparently,
yes, are under the impression that I pitch sometimes darker, twisted things, and so they call me the darkness. It's not always true, because I have had a lot of kissing and snuggling and smooshing in my episodes, right? You had 2 kisses in 411. So there's love. There's love.
It's all before, just to make the heartbreak that much harder. You're like, I'll make it happy for 1 second.
Right. Root still gets some of the most badass things, but she also gets some of the funniest lines ever. Were there particular scenes that you looked at the script and were like, wow, this is just absolutely hilarious. I can't believe I can do this.
So many. I mean, every episode is like such a fun. It's like getting a present. You get to read it, and I could never come up with any of the things they come up with. So when I read an episode, I feel like that's what's so great about the show, and why audience members and everyone likes it, is because you have everything. You have drama and comedy, and I mean, I've had so much fun getting to do all the different things, like the runaway bride and the bear suit, and I mean, I'm just like, oh, what costume do I get to wear this week? Which is, I love playing dress up, so it's great.
I was going to say, do you guys have a theory about why Root calls the machine she? Nobody else does. Everyone says it.
I think that the voice I hear is a female voice, so whether... I was thinking about this.
Okay.
I'm gonna pitch. So I was thinking, because do you have the app Waze on your phone?
Oh, and you can pick.
And you choose. My son's always like, put on Elvis, and my daughter's always like, put on the British lady.
Right.
And so I kind of feel like the machine is kind of like that to people. Like, maybe the people subconsciously want to hear Elvis or whatever.
Like, she knows you well enough that she knows the voice that I respond to.
Hear that voice. Maybe.
That's kind of leads into the question I had, which is, your version of how you see the machine and Finch's version are totally two different things. Kind of like, what do you think when when Root is listening to the machine, what kind of personality is she hearing? I feel like she's not hearing what the machine is necessarily saying. Like it's a disconnect. Like someone's like, "Hey, you should go get out of this chair," and you're like, "You want me to sit in the chair? Okay."
It's like a game of telephone. It's not quite.
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like I'm pretty. I feel like the machine's gotten me out of some things that if I wasn't listening to her exactly, I would be dead by now. You know, shooting behind me without
more like
looking.
the meaning, more like the meaning behind.
meaning,
yes, the personality behind it. Because when I see the machine through Finch's eyes, it seems very caring and very sweet. But your version's not necessarily the same.
Yeah, it's interesting because I don't really participate in the aspects of the machine where she's out trying to save the irrelevance that much. That's not usually the storyline that I'm involved in. It's more of giving her power and like that. So.
But it's also true that you do have a direct line to the machine, whereas Finch has cut off his contact, right, and was only getting numbers for so long. So I think we saw an evolution with him and the machine at the end of last year, where it reached out to him and called him father. But until that point, I don't think that they have the same lines of communication as you had with the machine. So you probably are getting more of her personality in your ear.
You should ask what Reese hears in his ear, and then
That's true, right?
Yes, here's Finch, nothing but Finch.
Back in season 3, Jonathan Jonas said that for like the episode where Carter died, that they showed you like old like 70s movies, like Sold Out Precinct 13 and like Lawyers. Are there like aesthetic sources that you have gone to or are going to this next season?
Oh, that's interesting. Well, I know that we have talked a lot about using some handheld this year that we haven't done before, making it a little bit more on the ground, intense, kind of getting that sense of being hunted by Samaritan. So, in the past we've kind of always, been steady or been gliding kind of, on a dolly or whatever. Now we're talking about really kind of getting in there. So I think you will see the aesthetic slightly change this year.
Is there a difference between acting for a surveillance camera and acting for a regular camera?
Interesting question.
I don't know. A lot of times this is probably like a bad actor thing to reveal. Sometimes when we do the MPOVs, we're not really saying the lines now. Sometimes they're so far away and it's like cold, and they're like we can only see the motion, so they don't have us. We don't necessarily play the scenes as full out, obviously, because it's a lot of times it's just a glimpse, or they're like we're going to use this for 1 second.
Right. You just cut in really quick.
Yeah. So we don't. It doesn't feel as. It's kind of different with everyone. Like Michael and I usually play the scene as it is. Sometimes Jim and I'm just like, oh, I guess we're doing this. We don't. He's like just doing something else, so we do that. But it all seems to work out in the end.
Can you give us any tease at all? Because I know you guys have just kind of started. Can you tease us a little bit about the upcoming season?
What did the guys say?
You're supposed to tell us.
What did the guys say?
Actually, we asked them. We got sidetracked on surveillance and Fusco's future. We actually didn't actually ask this question.
About Fusco.
So it's
It's about the struggle between you and your character in Finch.
Right.
The rebuilding machine.
Yeah.
That's all.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Just a tease. Anything you can think of that you're allowed to say.
Are you writing the first episode?
I am not actually. Greg is. Greg is with another writer, Tony Camarino.
Okay.
Yeah.
She told me a good tease that I get to have a special moment with Bear.
That's true.
What does that mean?
I don't know. That doesn't sound right.
No.
Does the machine know Bear's there?
I think the machine knows everyone's there.
Well, let's
But I
hope
mean-
Samaritan doesn't.
That's important to the team.
Bear's important to the team, but
He doesn't get a little box.
Yeah, the bear doesn't get a box. Bear should totally get a box.
Bear needs a box.
Yeah.
There you go. Season 5.
That's the theme. Bear in his box.
Well, you mentioned that Root feels like she has to represent for the machine while the machine is not available to talk. So what does Root think the machine wants?
I think the machine, if I was gonna pitch it. I would say, I think she wants to give the machine as much power as, I think she feels like we need to kind of cut the cord a little, let her make some more decisions on her own, and let her communicate with us in a way, kind of like what happened at the end of last season, where I was like, get in the game, you know, we need you to cut off the elevator, and Harold's always been like, no, that's not what we're gonna do. So I think what I would guess is she's gonna say, we need more of that if we're gonna be able to win this war.
So do you think Root actually ever gets afraid of anything, or is she just so driven in her mind that things just don't faze her?
I feel like she did get afraid of losing Shaw.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's a fear with the machine too, with both of them, you know, that if that seemed like the ultimate fear, like if we can't save this, then we're doomed. I mean, she seems more convinced of that than anyone, like that we have to make this happen or else there's nothing.
So with the machine in a box, you and Finch will have to, Root and Finch will have to rebuild it. Right. So now we have the challenge that's been our storytelling device since episode 1. And so now we have 13 episodes. How is it going to be more serialized? Because we don't exactly have the POI of the week anymore. At least we presume that will take a few weeks for Root and Finch to work their magic.
Well, I do think our storytelling is going to be compressed. I do think we're going to concentrate on telling those stories that we really want to tell, those character moments that we really want to see. But I think that also goes hand in hand with the idea that the numbers, irrelevance have kind of been baked into the fabric of our show. It's kind of the DNA of our show. So I don't think that we're going to step away from that, but I do think because the machine is different and it's evolving and it's changing, that the way that we help those people is probably going to change, and those numbers are going to change a little as well.
So, question I asked for some of the others, I want to ask you, how do you see the balance between surveillance being something to basically protect the country or the people, and going too far and being misused and being used to pry into people's lives where it shouldn't be? How's that balance?
That is such a tough question, right? It's the question, isn't it? Yeah.
I feel like maybe I've gotten sucked into the Root philosophy a little too much, but I'm like, it's okay, right? They're gonna help. It's all gonna work out. I feel like as long as the machine's good, I guess that's the problem.
Where do you see Root at the end of this? If this is the last season, where do you want Root to be?
Does she make it out alive?
I hope her and her machine and Shaw have a nice, happy little
Family with Bear.
With Bear, yeah.
And baby AI.
Yes.
And Shaw's twins.